We're going to take a look at how to do a check run in RFMS. Now this is actually extremely simple, but we'll go over a few details. Also, here are a few suggestions of my own personal practices. We're not even going to look at this. If you're interested, then by all means hit pause and you can read over those. But I'm going to skip them for now, and we're going to jump right into RFMS. Now, if we only want to print a single check for a single invoice, we could actually do that right here from the AP screen. And all we would have to do is come up here and click this little yellow icon to print a single check. So we can make sure we're selecting the correct checking account, enter the check date, make sure that we are in fact starting with the correct check, and obviously the correct printer. And then after that, all we would do is come right down here, click OK. Once we did, it would ask us whether the check printed properly, and we would answer either yes or no accordingly. In this case, we're going to not do that. I try to avoid printing single checks for reasons of internal control. Instead, I would rather do a check run a couple of times a week, which is what we're going to do now. I'm going to go to File, Accounts Payable, Check Writing, and Flag Payables. Taking a look, we're going to choose an ending due date. We can choose a supplier if we're so interested. We can also select what stores we're trying to do the check run for. In this instance, I'm not worried about supplier or stores. The ending due date, I tend to reach out a little further than what I actually intend to pay, just so I'm kind of getting a preview if there's anything coming right around the corner I need to know about. All right, and here are our current payables that are due, and if we take a look at those, we have the various suppliers, invoice numbers, of course the amount that's due and the due date. So I'm just going to go through those, and this is more just a matter of kind of going through using a little human intelligence, see if there's anything interesting out there. Now as I'm flagging these, I have multiple methods. I can either hit the tag right up here. I can also use the space bar, and I can also use Control T. We'll do the same thing. If I make any mistakes, I want to start over, I can untag all, or if I know I want to tag everything, I can do that. I'm going to actually choose to tag everything for just a second here. However, we're going to take a look at a few exceptions. One that stands out here is Brevard Supply here. We have a credit memo. We do not have any invoices to be paid, so we are going to untag that one. Let's see, we may also take a look at right up here, Acme Corporation. If we look at these invoice numbers, one of them looks a little funny. We've got 512, 512, 521. Might be a reason to take a look at that and make sure that is actually correct. If we take a look here at a custom tile company, we'll see something interesting going on here. We have a credit memo for $150. We owe them $129.55, so we actually owe them less money than they owe us. However, we take a look at this column right here, the discount rate. There is a discount, and this invoice is due on the 13th. So I'm going to need to make an intelligent decision here as to what I'm going to do in that situation. One possibility is I call the supplier and discuss that with them, or maybe I even decide to hold on to the credit memo for a little longer if I know that I do a lot of business with them. I'm going to take a look at a couple other things here. Fine flooring right here. We actually see that this is not due until the 15th. And let's say, for instance, I don't do a lot of business with fine flooring. Maybe I'm just a little bit hesitant to pay too early, so I'm going to take that one off. Now, conversely, I have this beige carpet company that this is not due until the 15th, but I do see that there is a discount on that, and I know that beige carpet company is very particular, and we want to make sure we get that check out right away. Okay, so let's say everything else is okay. What we're going to do then is either hit the blue arrow over here, or we can come up and hit the red X. Either one's going to do the same thing for us. RFMS is going to ask if we want to post that, and unless we've been doing this for fun, then yes we do. We want to post those payables. I will mention real quickly, if we for some reason need to go back to this, which isn't unusual, and we don't make any changes, but we exit out, it's going to ask us again, do we want to post the payables? If we make the mistake of saying no, it is going to clear all the payables even though we didn't make any changes to them. All right, so going on to the next step here, we're going to go to accounts payable, check writing, and let's go ahead and print a preview of what's going to happen here. So it's going to bring up a summary of everything that we're paying. If we take a look at this, if we go to the bottom page, it will also tell us the number of checks that we need. We can go through, review this against the actual physical documents, make sure that everything is in agreement, make sure, for instance, that this invoice number that we questioned is actually correct. If everything is good, then we are ready to go ahead and print checks. One interesting thing we may see here, certainly I've seen this before, I'm going to go to again to check writing and go to print AP checks. It doesn't let me, it's grayed out. Now this is just an odd little thing that happens sometimes. If I close out of any open AP screens here and I go back in, now all of a sudden I can select it. That doesn't happen every time, it does happen sometimes. Now this is the same pop-up box we've seen before. We're just making sure that we have the correct checking account, the correct check date if it's not today. Make sure that this is in fact the right check number and that we're going to the right printer. If so, we can go ahead and click OK. Now, RFMS will give us the option of whether or not we want to confirm each check individually. Generally speaking, not a lot of reason to do that. However, if you want to, you certainly can. We're going to do that right now just so that we can kind of appreciate what will happen. If I hit no, the checks are going to print. If I hit yes, then it's going to ask me individually about each check. And if I decide somewhere in there that I don't want to print one, then I can simply hit no to that check. And once all the checks have printed, then RFMS is going to ask if they printed properly. As you can see, I only have two options here, yes or no. So if, God forbid, I had a paper jam in there somewhere or something happened with one check, then I'm going to have to choose to either say yes or no and then figure out how to correct it from there. Hopefully everything is printed properly, and I'm going to say yes. Okay, there we go. If there were any remit notes, then those would pop up as well at the end, prompting us to print. Otherwise, we are done. If you need any more help, you can always go to rfms.com and go to their support site or call the help desk.